So, Yzrahid Highlands. Probably mispronounced, but it is what it is. Finally a spot I can get somewhat excited about. Why? Because it doesn't suck. Or not suck, but it's unique. Mechanically, it's interesting. Agris Efficiency, very good. Finally something that I can brag about that, oh, it's very efficient for Agris points. And the money per hour is also pretty good. So, again, what's there not to like? Let's talk about it. First, this is the map of the area. It will help you identify how many rotations there are, where you can grind, what's, available out there. And then we have mechanics. Let's start with the basics. The robot, from what I discovered, it seems to be just a standard asset. He always works the exact same way. He is basically scripted. I walked around, I poked like 2 or 3 of them, and the first leg, it's always the same one. The spider has 4 legs and there are 4 phases. One leg is always useless, and the asset, I call it asset because it seems to be rotated, at least that's what I believe. Basically the devs made this 4-legged spider, and the main starting leg is always the same one for a given rotation. And then since it's fully scripted, let's just say each of them works the same way, it's just they rotated it slightly because each of the rotations has a different starting leg. So here's a simple explanation. The robot has 4 phases, 4 legs. The first one is the starting leg, the one in the middle. The next one, second leg, will be the one on the left, going clockwise, so left leg. The third one is the one on the right side of the starting leg, so again, clockwise, but it skips the back leg. And then the fourth one, the last one, you are back to the starting leg. So just remember, middle, left, right, back to middle. The phases basically consist of, first that the leg will glow red. It's targetable, you have to kill it. The way to min-max the leg would be just to bait it. You poke the original leg, the one that takes damage, and then you dash towards a different leg. You physically stay with your character close to a different leg so that the main robot, the spider, he will attack you with a different leg, not the one you are trying to hit, because the leg that he's hitting you with will go on an iframe, so you cannot damage it. So just, stand next to a different leg, hit the main one, pop your E buff and your rage buff for the leg. He doesn't have a back, and then you should be able to one phase it if you have gear similar to mine. In most cases, the leg you're trying to stand close to will just simply do a simple stomp, one hit, circle in the middle, outer circle. You can tank it. I super armor it pretty often, as you probably already saw in the background. And again, if you have E buff and rage buff, you should be able to kill the main leg in just one phase, as in you only have to bait one attack from the spider, one leg hit, and then the leg just simply dies. Once it's dead, the spider will start spawning waves of minions that are pretty much set. You cannot really grind them any faster. I guess you can grind them slower if you don't kill them fast enough, but it's just like Histria, Dekia Akman. The waves are pretty much set in stone in terms of speed. For this phase, what you want to do is to just go in the green circles that randomly spawn around the spider. That will give you a huge damage buff, and it will basically make your AP kind of irrelevant. That's why these waves are set in stone, because as long as you make sure to visit the green circles every 20 seconds to refresh the damage buff, you will just melt the waves. This phase lasts for, I believe, 2.5 minutes. It's very similar to Dekia Cyclops, after these 2.5 minutes, the spider will start regenerating. He will have 3 explosions, 1, 2, and then 3, where he spawns a wave of minions and he instantly kills them himself. You have to do nothing, it's good to count the 1, 2, 3 explosions, because after the third one, the next leg phase begins. So you can just make your way towards the next leg as long as you remember the order. At this point, the leg becomes targetable after that third explosion. You repeat the same thing again. You attack the main leg, stay close to a different one, bait it, kill the leg, another wave of 2.5 minutes of monsters begins, and then you repeat this basically 3 times. For the fourth leg, when you go back to the starting leg, so last one in the cycle. As soon as the leg dies, this time there are no waves of monsters. Instead, the robot will do more explosions. He will just allow you to AFK grind for longer. You will see the messages on screen at the bottom that he's regenerating like 30%, 60%, 90% remaining. Once you see 90%, it means there's only one more explosion, and then the leg phase begins again, the first phase. So, you reset the 4 phases. You can use this AFK grinding time to just go to your horse and drop the trash, because the trash here is pretty heavy. So even with 30, I think I have 34 maids, it's still not enough to survive on just maids. I still had to use my horse. So just make sure you go to your horse during one of the AFK phases, either when he does the 3 explosions for each of the leg phases, or at the end, the 4th leg, when he has the longer AFK period. And that's about it in terms of the main mechanics. The spider can do some other AoEs once in a while. I didn't try to track it properly to see if it is fully scripted, but every once in a while you might see the AoEs where there's a green circle in the middle, or a green circle on the outer side, or a very, very small cone of green and the rest is red. You just stay in the green side, obviously, to not take damage. The one with a small cone, this one, it can kill you. It killed me once because I was just an idiot and I tried to iframe it and I failed because I'm pro gamer. But those happen rarely. I would say maybe once every 4 or 5 phases. Maybe they are scripted, maybe not, but you can just, they are not really that relevant. Just simply remember middle, left, right, middle for the 4 leg phases. Stay in the green circles and pop your E buff and rage buff, let's say 10 seconds before the actual leg phase begins to time it properly. When you see the third AFK explosion, that's when you can pop your E buff and your rage buff. If you understand and can repeat this, you should easily be able to pull 36 to 37,000 trash per hour on yellow plus Agris. And again, since the only way to grind this area faster is to kill the actual leg faster, it means there's not really that much room for improvement. It's a very stable clearing speed spot. My best was 37,500 trash per hour, and I believe maybe I can pull 38, 39. I'm pretty sure I can do 39 if I just have a perfect hour where I don't mess up anything. Maybe 40,000 is possible, but I don't see this area being grindable any faster than that. So yeah, let's take a look at some numbers. By the way, before that, like the video if you wanna see more of it. Putting it earlier, maybe more people will do it. Who knows? Hey, if you enjoy the content and wanna see more, just like the video or leave a comment. Engagement, it does help. The target AP, the AP cap here is 1.1000. Only 70% of it matters past this 1.1000. This is the gear that I had with 1065 AP with add-ons and self AP buffs included. So even I don't have 1.1000. Most people will probably not hit 1.1000. Crystals I had, again, standard critical damage and AP crystals. Add-ons don't really matter unless you don't play Guardian. And then buffs. I didn't go for an elixir rotation because again, you cannot use species damage, you cannot use down attack, back attack damage. So I'm pretty sure standard buffs are fine. And since the clearing speed is so capped, or again, just like Akman and Histria, there's not much room for growth. You can skip the courage. You don't really need courage. Again, your damage is mostly just to kill the leg, which you should be able to do fairly fast even without a courage. It's just 90 million silver per hour is a lot to pay just to kill the leg slightly faster. Same for the house buff. And yeah, looking at Garmoth, this is my result. 35,000 trash per hour, because I only figured out how the mechanics truly work. I was streaming and chat told me at some point that, oh, do you know that the legs are scripted and it's this and that, and only for the last 3 hours I had numbers I can be proud of, and for the other ones I basically just freestyled the spot, and I was like, well, I guess it is what it is. Random AoEs, random leg. I don't know if I can bait the leg, so it could be higher. It could be 37 if I just did every hour like this. Regardless, 1.5 billion, because I didn't drop any of these. No artifacts and no Flames, looking at the Garmoth Global data, the average is 1.9 billion on yellow and Agris, same 300% drop rate, because you should be able, again, according to Garmoth, the average, it's every 21 hours you should get an artifact drop on average, and every 178, 180-ish hours you should get the raw flame drop. Obviously I didn't get either of them, but 1.9 billion. On the Excel side, notable things would be 42% loot scroll scaling for the blue loot scroll, 3.42 for yellow and Agris. That's what I used. I had to convert my hours into yellow because that's how I always do here, yellow loot scroll base, but in reality I grinded everything on yellow plus Agris. So this would be my estimation, 20.5 thousand trash per hour, because I only averaged 35 on yellow and Agris. If I scale it up to 37.5, my best hour, it would be close to 22,000 trash on just yellow. And then you can look at the money per hour for, blue, yellow, blue plus Agris, yellow plus Agris, and with higher speed, same thing, estimations. I used the current, max value for the flame and the artifact, same as Garmoth, one every 21 hours, one every 183. I guess it was 183 when I did this. Now it's 178. There, now it's up to date. But as you might already know, I didn't drop any of these. So if I delete them, this is kind of what most of you should get on a normal hour, just normal first 10 hours, because I don't know how many hours people plan to spend here. You might only come here to check out the spot for like 5 hours, in which case probably you won't drop the flame or the artifact. Honestly, looking at these numbers, only 1.5 billion, 1.4, 1.5, exactly what I got with Agris used. It's not really that impressive. This area only really shines if you get RNG carried to drop an artifact, or if you spend enough hours to get one every 20 hours, to reach that average for the artifact drop rate. Without the raw artifact drop, it's fine, but it's not that impressive since you have to use Agris as well. And talking about Agris, finally, I can be proud of some Agris efficiency numbers. 36.6, the very first hour, this is the one I used to track Agris. Could have used a faster one, but I didn't have monsters, but it doesn't matter. This is the one that ended up being the useful one. It's interesting how I averaged 9.2 trash per mob. And it makes sense because every wave, if you look at the main spider, I forgot to point that in the mechanics part. It's not that relevant, but you can hit the main spider during the 2.5 minutes of wave spawns, and once the main body, in quotation marks, dies, then an elite will spawn. One elite monster per those 2.5 minutes of waves. And that elite monster drops more trash. It still uses the same 5 points per monster, but he drops more trash. So it bumped up the average to 9.2 trash per mob when it's supposed to be 8.5 on paper. Regardless, 100% loot efficiency, because you should be able to loot everything if you make circles around the spider to pick up the loot properly, and then 2 billion silver you would make just from Agris alone, only Agris, assuming you use all of it. But since you only burn 20,000 points, this would be basically your money from 5 hours of grinding, again in just Agris. How does that compare to other areas? It's basically here. It's more than double the efficiency of Jade Forest. Again, I didn't test everything or retest everything for Agris, but it's easy to understand, right? You look at other Dechia spots, Dechia Histria, and most people know that Jade is an efficient Agris spot. Well, this one is twice the efficiency. For loot scroll efficiency, 2 and 3 base trash dropped from monsters, it becomes 7 and 10, 10.5 gets rounded to 10 on yellow and Agris. It's 41%, 41.6. For blue loot scroll, I rounded it up to 42 because again, you do get that one elite every wave that will drop you a lot of trash, which is basically 50% scaling. The 10th value, I suppose, sometimes I mention it, it is worth it to buy a 10th buff, always buy it, just try to max your drop rate as much as you can, and yeah, it's 44%. So it's pretty bad. I did every hour on yellow and Agris, because I have enough loot scrolls, but basically should you use blue or yellow loot scroll, I would use blue. I would just simply do blue plus Agris. If I go back here and look at what I actually dropped, again removing the averages for flames and the artifacts, so my money per hour is lower from rare items, then I guess it goes up to 60% efficiency, which is good. For experience, it's pretty mediocre. Again, it's not impressive, it's not super bad, but it is slightly worse than Dehkia, Akman and Histria, which are not that good to begin with. Again, one of these days I will scale up the older results to match today's clearing speed, but if you look at orcs, for example, again, orcs could be faster, trash per hour, like 33, 34. It's not that great, right? It exists, but I would not come here thinking to level up. Skill points, again, just mediocre. And that pretty much covers everything. That's Yzrahid Highlands in a nutshell. Impressive money. Honestly, pretty good, close to 2 billion per hour. It's really good. It's a spot I would grind if I have Agris. If you need to burn your Agris, let's say 5 hours a week, or more like 7 hours a week, grind here. If you need the artifacts, or if you need the flame, or both, in whatever or in whichever order, then sure, grind here. If you don't need them and you just wanna grind for silver, sure, if with Agris it's worth it. Without Agris, I mean, you might as well go elsewhere. If you make like 1.3, 1.2 billion without using Agris, is it really worth it to be here? Not really. You could be grinding for debos or something else to give you more silver. But hey, fun spot. I like the mechanics. It's a nice change. I like the direction. I like that it's not just a standard do circles forever or wait for waves to spawn forever. It has mechanics, it is unique, it is interesting. Good spot. So yeah, see you next time. Bye!